Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm so excited to be here. What's today? Today's Thursday. Wow, the week has gone really quickly. And I just really quickly introduce myself. My name is Caroline Onyedema. I'm a messaging and launch strategist that helps business owners, coaches, consultants, creatives scale their business and making sure that they do it without hustle. We want them to embrace ease, and we want them to really structure their business for the profits that they deserve. So I'm really excited to be able to come to you today because many of you have seen me posting these cryptic formulas on my profile, which is the Find Your Launch formula. And the reason I've been doing that is, well, there's a few reasons I've been doing that, right? And so I'm going to go into why I've been doing that. So we're in Q2. Q2 is well underway. And I know at the beginning of the year, many of us had goals, right? We had projections for how much we want to make this year. And so at the beginning of the year, I asked quite a few people, 100K, 250K, 500,000, cool, right? What happens though is as the months progress, you can tell if you're going to hit those income goals, right? Just by how you're moving in your business, the money you've been making, the opportunities that have come to you. And so I asked people again in Q2, how much do you want to make this year? And they say the same thing. How much did you make last quarter? Well, it wasn't a really good quarter. And by Q3, it's almost a done deal unless you throw a Hail Mary to hit those income goals if you haven't been ramping up. So this time, this Q2, good morning, guys, good morning. This Q2 is really important, right? That we solidify certain things to make sure that we hit our income goals by the end of the year, right? It's okay to have a so-so Q1, right? My Q1 was a little bit slower. Hey, Akila. Q2, I'm very strategic around it because Q3 and Q4 need to be a slam dunk for me to be able to make the income I want in my business. And I'm guessing the same goes for many of you. So, hi, thank you. So now let's really get to it. Let's talk about what has to happen for us this quarter, right? How we're going to set ourselves up this quarter to make sure Q3 and Q4 are smooth sailing, because Q2 is pivotal. And that's why I've been posting this Find Your Launch formula, because there's not a one size fits all formula for everybody. And as a launch strategist, as a messaging strategist, somebody that helps people construct their offers, everybody's at a different phase in their business. Therefore, they need a different formula. They need a different game plan. And I don't feel that people have really been given this liberty. So they feel they have to do business like, the mentor that they're following is, right? Or, the coach that they watch on Instagram is. No, you have to look at the different variables that are going on in your business and do business that way. Otherwise, what you're going to find is Q3 and Q4 are disappointing or you're struggling. So Q2, I call it the setup quarter, right? This is where we structure stuff, right? This is where we get our game plan in order. So in Q3 and Q4, we can execute the game plan. But this is the planning and preparation quarter, right? This is where you do the hard work. So in the coming quarters, you can, put in effort, but you can really reap the rewards of what you've doing. So, what you've done previously. What does that look like? Audience building, building connections, building relationships, building great offers. Do you see what I mean? All of those things that need to happen. Building great curriculums. Focusing on what matters. Understanding what hasn't worked well before and extracting the good things from that process and throwing away those things that don't serve you. Do it in Q2, guys, so that you can move forward. And so let's talk about this launch formula that I keep talking about, because you're going to see me, right, for the next kind of week or two. I'm just going to be posting these equations. And the reason I do that is I want everybody to have their own ideas or what that means to them. Some equation you'll be like, that's not for me. Some equations you're going to be like, that's it. Because there's certain variables in your business that's going to tell you this equation is for me. So we're going to go through some equations, right, based on what's going on in your business. And I'm going to give you some case studies, really easy. So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can become consistent in your business, right? Because what we don't want is spurts of money here or there. We want consistency, right? So we want the whole year to feel good. We want the whole year to be smooth sailing. And consistency is so much more important than getting these big spurts of income, right? If the roller coaster revenue keeps you in constant adrenaline mode, right? Keeps you in constant cycles of angst and depression. Okay, will he do it? Won't he do it? Right? Okay, you're stressed all the time. But consistency, guys. So when people come to me and there's gaps in their business, I'm looking for consistency, right? I'm looking for, hi guys, thank you for joining. I'm looking for where I can slot in to their existing business model, where I can plug the gaps to give you consistency. All right. So let's start with the first launch method that people usually do. Right. So let's talk about the find your formula with regards to challenge launches. So here is when I suggest that somebody does a challenge launch. Okay. When you have a small audience, small to no audience, right? When you have a small to no audience, if you are in the position to scale, so for instance, you want to create a course or you want to create a coaching program, but you don't have, not only do you have a small audience, or you do have an audience, but you have no connection with that audience. So what do I mean? I mean, a lot of people have traffic, right? So if you go to your Facebook profile, I want everyone to type into the chat here, how many people are you connected to on Facebook, right? So I think the last count, I had about nearly 4,000, about 3,800. That's a lot of people, right? I know a lot of people say, I don't really have a lot of people. I don't have an audience. Imagine having 3,800 people lined up in your development, or, sitting in a movie theater with that amount of people, right? Or going to a football game and there's 3,000 people there. That's a lot of people, all right? I know that it doesn't feel like that. I was on Clubhouse yesterday and people saying they've got a small audience. I only got 5,000 people. And I was visualizing what 5,000 people looks like. Okay. Hi, Anissa. I was visualizing what 5,000 people looks like in a stadium or in an enclosed space, right? It's a lot of people. So imagine if you're in a scenario where you have followers, meaning you've got people who are friend requested you, and you've got traffic here and there. The issue is there's no connection with the traffic. They're not invested in you. There's a difference between having an audience, right? Or there's friends on your Facebook profile or that kind of stuff, and followers, people who listen to you, right? People who enjoy what you have to say. So I kind of say that's there can be spectators and then there's supporters, right? So a lot of times people are spectating, but they're not really taking in what you're saying, right? So they're not really supporting your message. And so that's why we do 5-day challenges. And that's when I recommend a 5-day challenge to people. You have an audience or you don't have an audience, right? But the audience you have, you're not connected to them, right? You could just be any old Joe Schmo. They don't really know what you do. They don't have an emotional connection to what you're doing. They really don't care. But a challenge is great when you have a coaching program or if you have a course. I prefer the program or the coaching to be at least $500 and up, right? But the reason why challenges are good is because we sell at scale, right? We sell to the masses, and there's a structure to do this. And so find your formula. If somebody comes to me, I look at their audience size, I look at their audience connection, I look at their offer, okay, what they're selling. Somebody's selling a $37 membership. I don't recommend that they do a challenge, okay? You can sell that without that amount of effort, okay? And I look at how frequently they want to execute this challenge in regards to their income goals. So I had somebody that came to me and she was doing challenges, but guys, she was launching a challenge every week and she was burnt out. And I said, that's no longer become a challenge, right? You're doing it too frequently. That's why you're not getting the numbers and the results that you want. So challenges should be done at least, at quarterly, okay? Quarterly challenges are good, right? Once a quarter is enough. More than that, I think it's overkill. And this is why. Every time you do a challenge, you need to recuperate emotionally, physically, okay, mentally, audience-wise, before you go into the challenge cycle again. You also need to have a retrospective where you can evaluate the things that went well and the things that didn't go well in the challenge, so that you don't go into the next challenge cycle with the bad habits of the previous challenge. And when you don't leave that gap to recuperate, to reflect, to restructure, you just keep perpetuating these bad habits throughout the challenge. You learn these bad habits and they become ingrained in stone, and you do things incorrectly and it affects your money. All right. So challenges are great. Challenge launches are great, but they shouldn't be done every month. They should be done every quarter, and they should get easier every time if you're building assets. So I've done challenges before, and halfway I've been tired and I haven't really built any assets. I'm like, I'm just done with this thing. But the beauty about a great challenge is that you're building assets and you use them over and over again. The challenge registration page is really important. That's where your messaging comes in. The challenge thank you page. If you're going to sell a workbook, you have an amazing workbook. The topics you're going to teach every day, the teaching aids that you have, the homework that you're going to give. You do the same challenge over and over and over again. You don't change the challenge. It becomes your signature challenge, okay? How you sell on the challenge. Are you going to be selling straight directly from a presentation? You're going to get somebody on a call, or you're going to lead them to a sales page. These things go into your challenge, but you do it once a quarter. So Akita says, I love challenges. They're so effective, but a lot of things, like you said. Yes, and that's why people run away from them. When I say people do a challenge rule, they don't, it's work, right? But it's good work, it's productive work. These are assets that you're going to use over and over again. And then imagine you do once a quarter, Q1 challenge, Q2 challenge, Q3 challenge. By Q4, you've amassed this great audience. People really like what you're doing. You've got a mechanism to bring new people into your ecosystem, and you've got a wait list from when the last challenge happened, and you go into it again. Stronger, better, sleeker, swifter, all of that good stuff. Now, here's the thing about challenge launches. They're not meant for consistency, guys. They're meant for spurges, right? Spikes of money, and they come down, right? And so when you get challenge money, it's very easy, okay? It's very easy. So this is what happens. I've helped people do multiple six-figure challenges, right? Six-figure challenges, high five-figure challenges. They've made that money. But if you don't do a challenge well, you get so tired, so burnt out, right? Somebody called it, so there's launch trauma. It's a real thing. There's launch trauma, and they're so burnt out and they're so stressed. That's like they had PSTD. They don't want to launch again. So that money they made for the challenge, whether it was 50K or 100K or whatever, it has to last them the whole year, right? So you can have a 5-figure challenge or a 6-figure challenge, but you can have a terrible year if you just rest on your laurels and leave that, and just depend on that money. And that money goes really quickly. You think you're balling, you think you've got all that money, it goes really quickly. And there's no cash flow in your business, especially if you got paid in fulls en masse and you spent that money. So here's how I help people to structure those challenges. 1, you do a challenge once a quarter. 2, you build assets. 3, you make sure there's cash flow with the challenges. So as much as you get paid in full, it's fine if people pay in installments. So every month, you've got bankable money coming in, right? You've got guaranteed money coming in that allows you to plan. So it's fine if you don't get the money straight up, right? So you imagine you have a 5K coaching program. It's fine if, you space that out over time, because even after the challenge is done, you've got money coming in this month, and you can project. It's called cash flow, right? Cash flow is king in business. If you get all that money coming in, a lot of people don't have discipline. Expenses go out the wazoo. They start buying any course that comes up or doing retreats and whatever, and then they're burnt out for the rest of the year. So guys, we want consistency. So challenges do not equal consistency. They equal big cash flow injections. But this is when I tell somebody they have to do a challenge. If they're not hitting their revenue goals and they're just going along consistently in the year, and I know there's a big gap between, so maybe their revenue goal for the year was $250,000, right? And by Q2, they've made 20, 30K, right? That's about 10K. I say to them, you have to go into launch mode. You have to do a challenge, or you have to do some kind of launch, because I need a big revenue injection. I need a big cash injection. I need a big spike, so that we're not struggling in Q3 and Q4 to get there. And I usually tell them to prepare for their launch in Q2, because I don't want people going into challenges without an audience. And if you're going to do a challenge, you want to make sure you have maximum capacity, maximum people coming in. There's no point doing a challenge like 20, 30, 40 people that sign up. No. When we do challenges, right, we want people in the hundreds. I want to maximize impact so I can get that big spurt, because I know a lot of effort goes into it, right? So we're talking about audience attraction, audience bonding. You put all your effort into creating that connection with the audience, because it's what you do before the launch that determines how successful you're going to be in that launch, right? Challenge launches are 3 to 5 days. And once you're in it, it's like a roller coaster. There's no time to think. If you've nurtured your audience beforehand, you know that the challenge is going to be a slam dunk. If you're waiting for the challenge to do magic, which it does, right? Because you're building trust, this, that, and the other, but it's so much easier. It's like WD-40 before the challenge, that when you get into the challenge, right, it's not stressful. It's a good thing, right? So that's what we're doing. So guys, find your formula. If you know that you've had a lackluster Q1 and you've got big revenue goals for the year, I would suggest, okay, that you do a challenge launch at one point in the year to get that income boost, okay? And then you can go on to do other things. And I had a client the other day, we were talking, she's like, I don't want to do a launch. I just want to show up on social media and sell one thing. And I said, no, discipline yourself. You need to do a launch because you've got income goals that you need to. I'm not saying you have to launch every month, but take the time to do one launch this year, right? For that big cash injection. Cool. So now imagine you've already done a challenge, all right? And then you rest. And then people are like, what next? Okay, because you've done a challenge, people are coming to your group coaching program, or they bought your course, and now you're helping them fulfill that offer, right? And that's why it's important to have a break between challenges, because people go from marketing to marketing to marketing. Take time to take care of the people that have actually bought your offer. How about that? Okay, because most people forget they have to actually fulfill. And the better your fulfillment, the better your customer service, the better your curriculum, right? You're not going to have to market so hard the next time, because those people go and tell 10 people, right? So your reputation precedes you. And I always say to people, it's really important. That's why I help people to not just craft an offer, which is what you present in a challenge or in your marketing, but to craft a step-by-step, well thought out, conscious curriculum, right? So a lot of people don't understand that when I teach messaging, it really goes down to 4 levels. And I thought to myself, well, I thought people would know this. Right? Not only do we do messaging, what you'll say, for audience attraction, not only do we structure an irresistible offer to make people want your solution, we structure a well thought out curriculum so that you are confident that you can actually back up the promise in your offer, because you know step by step how you're going to get these people incrementally to success. And many people don't have that level of granularity or clarity in their program, right? They kind of turn up on Zoom and just wing it. And I'm like, no, the curriculum is what's going to keep people coming back. It's going to put respect on your name. It's going to give you the confidence to show up and message, because you know exactly what you're doing in module 2, week 3, and what exercise is going to facilitate the transformation for that milestone. If you don't have that level of clarity, it's very hard for you to energetically show up for this challenge, because you're like, oh my gosh, if they give me $3,000, I'm not even sure if I'm really going to help them be able to get to this promise that I've been talking about all the time. Really important, guys. So it's not just about the challenge, right? It's about the challenge. It's about how you're going to facilitate your coaching, and it's about the curriculum. And as an offer and messaging strategist, it's all those things, right? Because a slam dunk challenge needs a banging curriculum to be able to get people to the promised land. Because they built this trust and connection with you, you don't want to let them down, right? You don't want to let them down. And you don't want imposter syndrome to take over either. People put so much stress into, time and energy into the challenge, they forget about the curriculum, they forget about fulfillment. So I don't let my clients do that. You gotta be great on both sides, right? We don't want this anti-climax where everyone's talking about your name in the streets. Okay, good. So imagine, right? So you're my client and you've done an amazing, you've redeemed yourself. Q1 was slow, but Q2, you prepped. And at the end of Q2, you did this amazing challenge, because there's a challenge runway. You don't just decide to do a challenge and do it next week. There's a runway. There's pre-launch period. There's an active launch period, and there's a post-launch period, right? So people come with me and we start ramping up for this challenge, right? And we have a date in the future where we're going to go to active challenge season or launch season, and we're going to execute a 5-day or a 3-day launch, right? Good. But before that, people are signing up. We're showing up on social media. We're talking about stuff. While we're doing the marketing, I'm behind the scenes creating the curriculum with the client, helping them with their messaging, hand holding them every week. You know, I love, you know what I love to see? I love to see my clients when they actually start messaging based on the things that we talked about in our sessions. And then I might send them a DM and like that post was banging. Go and engage with this person. Hey, you're not engaging in your post. People are asking you questions. Can you edit this line? You didn't say this. And they're like, oh my gosh. And they go back and they do it. And they start getting feedback and they start getting connections and they start getting calls. And they're like, I can't believe this worked. Sure, of course it works. It's not rocket science, right? Everything works if you work and if you have the right guidance. So cool. Imagine you've done a launch, right? You had like a 20, 30K Q1. Boom, you did a launch. You made about $75,000 in Q2. Okay. Now here's the thing. Challenge again can happen in Q3, but all the assets are there. So in between the period, what do you do, guys? People ask me that all the time. What should I be doing in between these launches, right? No, you don't rest on your laurels, okay? You, for consistency, you go into setting in between the challenge spikes, all right? So I like webinars, right? And why do I like webinars? So if a challenge is once a quarter, a webinar should be at least once a month to bring in income. So let me tell you what I did recently, right? Because I do webinars here and there, whether you want to call them webinars or masterclasses or whatever you want to do, whether they're paid or whether they're free. So sometimes you'll see me put up a masterclass for like $37. That's really my version of a webinar, but I want people who have intent, so I'll make them pay for it, right? Some people do free webinars, but whatever you're doing, you can still be selling out of launch that offer if you do a webinar to bring in maybe not as much money as you would have got on the challenge, right? But you're doing webinars or masterclasses consistently, month 2, 1, 2, 3, then you go to challenge. So you've got that consistent money coming in, guys, right? And a lot of people are, I'm scared of a webinar, I don't want to do it, but it doesn't have to be the Russell Brunson perfect webinar structure for you to be able to build connection and do really well with that webinar. There's different ways to do it. There's training webinars where people just want to teach. You know, there's marketing webinars where they're structured. There's masterclasses where people are hands-on. There's workshops. It's a really amazing way as well, if you've got all these ideas or things have been happening or you want to test out some ideas, to teach, because once you teach, you reinforce what you know. And I feel that the market is really missing teachers these days, right? People want to be taught. People don't want to be marketed to. People are looking for teachers that can really teach them stuff. And that's why I like when people publish, right? Yes, there's time for limiting belief kind of posts, lifestyle posts, but how many of you guys are really teaching, right? How are you building trust by showing that your authority, you actually know what you're doing? Once in a while, you should put these things on for a treat for your audience. That's actually why I'm coming out and doing this. People said, when are you going to tell us about this? I was like, oh, do people really want to know? I thought everybody was teaching. But there's very few teachers these days. There's a lot of marketers. So I feel that in anybody's niche, if you're serious about your niche, at one point, you're going to teach. And don't be afraid to teach things that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't tell them about this because it's in my program. Actually being generous and teaching is what's going to set you up as an authority, establish your credibility, and have people coming to you because they trust you. So you can't cut off your nose to spite your face by withholding all this good stuff. It's wasting in your course if nobody's coming in. It's wasting on your Google Drive if nobody's seen it. Take something and teach. And the great thing about when you teach, guys, is you get this syndrome, which I call 100 how-tos, right? So anytime I teach something, I'm going to get loads of questions based on the teaching. And that's a good thing because that's the stuff that we solve in the problem. So every time you teach, look for the 100 how-tos. People are going to ask you X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. They need clarification. It's just not enough to just teach out there, right? Because And what I'm saying is, you can teach and you're not really giving away your IP. You can teach and you're not giving away your power. People still need energy, interaction, accountability, community, right? To get transformation. It's not just information. So it's okay, guys, to go out there and teach your processes or your frameworks or your ideas. You don't have to teach everything. Take a sample, take a snippet, teach. Be like Costco when I go in there and I get free samples. It's all good. It leads me to buy the product, okay? Great. So I love when I hear a teacher, you know, Akida on here is an amazing teacher. She really, like, I love intellectual people. I love people that think deeply, and she really teaches and gives insights and stuff. And it hasn't stopped me from saying, you know, when I'm ready, I know exactly who to come to, because she showed me competency. And that's what a lot of people are looking out for in the market. There's a lot of Tinseltown coaches. There's a lot of grandstanding. We're looking for competency if you're serious to get to the next level in business. And it's not always the people that have got the big brands, right? Have got thousands of followers on IG. There's a lot of people who are in the trenches, who are doing the work behind the scenes, that actually know the nuances, right? Or the gaps to fill to get people there. So that's why I call myself, right? I'm a coach for people in the messy middle, right? Not really for the newbies who don't, you know, who are really beguiled by those big brands. You know, for you, when you're at that point where you're very centered and focused and you know what you need to get to the next level. So that's why I like webinars, right? To layer on top of challenge launches, which happen once a quarter, or live launches like that. So you do a webinar. Now, guys, people are saying, well, you know, where am I going to get the traffic from? The webinars don't have to be really big. They don't have to really be big. Remember, this is supplementary income coming in to make sure you still got money coming in every week, right? So what I did, I joined a JV group, right, with 170 amazing people, and we network and we launch to each other's audiences, right? It doesn't have to be hard. So could you find 10 people that you could create a relationship with, that your offer doesn't cannibalize their offer, that they have an amazing audience? And why not come up with 10 or 20 people in your inner circle and do some JVs, right? Travel to, you know, virtually traveling around. So you're like a traveling webinar person, and you do a masterclass or a webinar to somebody's community, right? Sometimes the webinars don't even have to pitch. They could be teaching webinars. So let me give you an example. I did a masterclass in somebody's paid community last year, and I'm still reaping the benefits from it, because the training is still there and people come to me all the time for my quiz process. And it's because they've watched that information there. So guys, be generous with your content. Don't be stingy with it. You know, teach, let people see your gifts and greatness. We want to see it, right? We love people who are smart. We love people that give us innovation and instigate change and challenge us. And so drop your content in all these different places. And I love when I cross-pollinate my audience by taking my content to places where I would never really have gone before, right? Like, there's so many different diverse audiences there. And, you know, it's really great when you find people. So when you're doing these JVs, try and find people that are very different from you, because they have audiences that you might never get to, but they're dying to hear what you've got to say, right? That you're a breath of fresh air to their audience. It's an amazing thing. It's a fun thing. It's really fun meeting new people as well. And that's when your audience becomes really diverse. You're seeing different challenges. You know, there's different pockets over here. I found new niches and new ideas and new groups I never would have thought about before. I didn't know they existed. And I wouldn't have known if I didn't do this JV thing and find people who were not in my ecosystem before, frame of reference, to create an authentic relationship and share my expertise. But you have to show that you have expertise if someone's going to introduce you to their audience, right? So that's why I like webinars, for consistency, right, over challenges. And the nice thing about webinars is you can be a secret squirrel webinar presenter, because you don't have to go into this big launch. When you go into different people's programs or different people's lists or whatever, no one really knows apart from people there. It's nice, right? So we're good there. So you've got challenges and you've got webinars, right? And then you should have something that allows you to sell every day, right? So we've got quarterly, monthly, and then let's say every week, right? So now we want to get sales every week. And how do we do that? Guys, how we do that is by screen to sell, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean, you bring your energy, like I'm showing up now, okay? I'm showing up now. You bring your energy. So you bring your energy and you show up and you invite people onto a phone call with you, right? Or onto a sales call with you. Now, why do I say that? Because there's something about when somebody shows up and brings their energy to the mix, that triggers a conversion, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a calendar booking, right? And we do that for high ticket sales. So say you have a group coaching program, but now you want to layer another, another product in your product ladder. Not when I say product, it doesn't have to be a digital product. I'm saying another layer of service. That requires a conversation if you're going to be working with somebody in close proximity, right? So you show up, you use your energy to attract those people, and you invite them on a call. And I use this for VIP days. If I want to do coaching, not my group coaching, but I want to take one-on-one coaching clients, very effective. And that's how you're getting money coming in every week, right? So this is what's given me high 4-figure or 5-figure weeks, okay? Forget about if I'm doing anything group or whatever, I'm getting clients coming in, okay? Another way you get clients coming in every week is to build a strong referral network, right? So you're relationship building and you're being very strategic and telling people what you want to be referred for, right? So I call it my process of exponential endorsements. You're asking people to tag you on posts. You're asking people to refer people to you for certain things, not for, it can't be vague. It has to be very specific. So people ask me, what do you want to be referred for? I say, anyone that wants a curriculum structured, anyone who wants a quiz funnel built or the quiz marketing built to build their list with quizzes, anyone who wants their message restructured and clarified, okay, and they want to draw people with their messaging, anybody who wants to write their webinar, because messaging comes in your webinar, anyone who wants to structure a challenge, those kind of things, right? But right now in this season, I've been telling everybody, I want to focus on curriculum design, right? I know people call it instructional design, but program design, right? I'm help quite a few people come up with their unique mechanism, their framework, and their step-by-step curriculum. That's all mapped out in Trello, and making sure I'm taking their ideas into a well-thought-out program that they can confidently stand by and that achieves a big promise, which is golden, right? So I do one-on-one intensives around that. But that's because I'm showing up, I'm talking around those things, because that's the season I'm in, right? There's so many things we do in launches, right? Messaging, offers, whatever. But the season I'm in, what's got me really excited right now is curriculum design. I found out that a lot of people don't have a great curriculum. They say, I've got a course, I've got an offer, but when I look at the curriculum, there's so many holes in it. And this is why people don't get to success. I'm like, well, you told them to do this. Where's the exercise to do this? And when did you teach them this? And why are you teaching in this order? And why do I have to wait till week 12 to get a big win? Why couldn't you given me a big win in week 2? Why are you making it so hard for them to get success? What would happen if they only did 20% of the work in this program? Could they still have a breakthrough? We're restructuring their curriculum so that their clients can win. Because I know when your clients are winning, you don't have to work so hard with the marketing, right? People go out and they talk about who's doing great and whose program was actually a breath of fresh air and whose program didn't actually work. Okay, so you should be showing up weekly, right? But what we don't want is for consistency in your business look like you're glued to the screen. So even when I live stream, I can decide when I want to live stream, right? Because I'm not trying to kill myself all the time, because that doesn't have to be my only source. I've got things coming in from masterclasses that I've done, right? Referral marketing that I've done, challenges that I've done before, my email list. So that all starts to layer to consistency, guys. And that's what I want for you guys to have in your business. And then my business is called Ideal Clients Daily, because as much as you get clients in the week, right? So maybe I have 4 or 5 people booked into my calendar in the week. And we have a sales call, and some I close, some I don't, some are not a good fit, some we just build a relationship with. I want you to be selling every day, right? And that's when you have evergreen. So that's the ultimate layer of consistency, right? You've got challenges, you've got webinars, you've got sales calls, and then you've got evergreen sales coming in every day. And that's when you use email marketing. So that's when you're setting your low ticket to mid ticket offers. And when I say low ticket, right, I'm talking about something $97 and up, right? You know, because I don't want you to be too low so that people don't price cast you as, oh, she's a $37 person, right? We don't want to do that. So imagine if you had, you know, your bio links were products and, you know, digital products or workshops or stuff that people could just buy without talking to you. Imagine if once a week you sent out an email to like a $200 course. So I call this my forever funnel, right? You know that if, is it just, I think it's $267 a week, a day. If you sold a $267 product, or you sold, you know, your sales were $267 a day passively, right? That's 100K a year, right? So you layer that. What can you take out of your Google Drive that's half done, package into a digital product or into a template or into a training or into a tool that somebody can just access? They don't have to talk to you. So this is good if you show up on Instagram a lot or you're live streaming. You should come away with some money every day. If you're doing attraction marketing and people are coming to your profile, there should be stuff that people can buy. Or if you're not doing it that way, you're emailing and somebody can buy something, even if they don't know you. The offer is so good and it's so specific that they can just take a chance on it. They don't need to know who you are. So let me give you some example of what that is. Recently, I saw somebody on LinkedIn. He had a $150 product for Notion templates that do content, right? I don't really know who he is. I haven't followed him for so long, but I could just easily, in fact, he's made 7 figures because he has a big following on LinkedIn. A lot of people just buy that. Oh, well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it's amazing, it's amazing. But for $150, right, I can take the chance. So what do you have between the $100 to $300 mark that somebody can just buy from you without you having to speak? So that's selling on evergreen. And usually you do that with a sales page, right? So not even a really long form, a mid form to short form sales page where somebody can just buy it. It's, you know, they don't need to get on a sales call for $200. Who does that, right? And if they do, maybe that's not the kind of person you should be speaking to, right? Serious people are looking for stuff to buy. If you're somebody that likes to sit on a clubhouse stage, right? People are multitasking. Make sure that when they're clicking on your links and stuff, there's something for them to buy, okay? Make sure there's something for them to buy. Now, the last thing I'm going to say before I leave you is that you should always have something for them to use in your business, whether they are buying or not. And what do I mean by use, guys, right? So we are in the era of information overload, right? There's so much content out there. And I always find that the best gift that you can give somebody who comes into your business is something that they can use immediately. And what do I mean by that? I mean something that is interactive. Right? So instead of giving me a training, give me a tool. And tools are the best thing to drag traffic to your business, to your site. And these tools are really good because if somebody hits your site because they want to use a tool. So let me give an example, right? When I used to do Kajabi templates, I used to, when I used to want to check, you know, that mobile view of a site design, right? Because we're always designing desktop. I want to look at mobile view. I used to go to this guy's site, MatthewKersley.com, because the site was basically a mobile checker, right? You could check different ratios of your website on different devices. And he had thousands of people that would come to his site just for that, to use his tool, right? Then he could retarget people, you know, he could get people to opt in. There wasn't many ads, but he could have ads down the side, and it would, because it was a useful tool. So people were sharing this tool in groups. Hey, use this, right? And it's like, why is he giving away this free tool? Neil Patel does it with Uber Suggest, right? For the longest time, Uber Suggest was on Neil Patel's site because he was driving traffic to his site because of the tool, right? Really good. And so I'm a big supporter. I'm a big fan of using tools in your business. I have tools galore. I have a quiz title generator that people share, right? It's free. People share it because they want to generate a title for their quiz. Anything that creates a shortcut, people love. I have calculators that I have a launch revenue calculator. People can predict their launch. Another tool would be a course naming generator. Do you see what I mean, right? So many different tools that people love to share. Make sure you have one in your business. And I call that interactive content. Calculators, tools, generators, quizzes, polls, anything like that you can use. Because in anybody's business, there's always a question that needs calculation. What should my Facebook ad budget be like? How many people do I need to get on my webinar? How much money do I need to hit abundance? Calculator in your business is one of the most effective tools that you can create, and they're really easy to create, right? The ultimate opt-in, ultimate lead magnet, because I don't have to go and read this 5-page PDF. I just put up the tool, and the tool is useful, and I share the tool, right? I share the tool. So that's why, for me in my business, I really help people to build their audience for these challenges or whatever by using these amazing tools that get shared everywhere. Amazing. That's what you want. Okay. They get shared everywhere. So that's what I have, right? You need traffic. You need consistency. You need to layer it can be the same offer, guys, but you're layering the way that you're selling it to have consistency. Because usually what happens is everyone says one signature offer, right? But you don't sell that signature offer every day. And that's the reality of it, right? You've got a free to $10,000 program. You're not going to sell it every day, and it's okay. It's normal. Forget about what everyone else says. Or if you're selling it every day, you're glued to the screen. We've got things to do. We've got kids to raise. We've got dinner to cook. We've got vacations to go on. We've got husbands to hang out with. We've got boyfriends to talk to. We've got all these things that we need to do in our lives. We've got self-care. We've got spas to go to and pedicures to have. We can't be glued to the screen, guys, but we do need that money coming in consistently. So consider, if you've got one signature offer, is it structured in a way that can be sold at different levels? Or if you've got a product suite, right? Have you structured your product suite so you can sell something every quarter, sell something every week, sell something every month, week and day, right? And it could be like you're just taking out a section of that big thing and just focusing on there. Let me just say to you, the kind of things that you sell every week, right? Or if you're selling every day, they don't have to be super high ticket. Don't try and fall into that trap and get greedy quickly, right? The money will come. There is. I know people are like, oh, well, it's only people that are really, who want a big solution or want a one and done solution going to buy a high ticket. We don't work like that as human beings, right? Yes, there's a point where you're going to want high ticket and you're going to go into, but some people want to DIY things. Some people just want clarity. Some people just want a tool. So people come to me all the time and they're like, Caroline, do you have a template? I have templates galore on the back of my Kajabi. I just didn't package it into a product so they can easily buy it without asking me, right? So that's already God telling me, make that thing into a product, put it somewhere that's accessible, and let people buy it every day for $97 to $197, right? What are all the things that you guys have been doing in your business that you could package into a product between $97 and $190? It's already done. You can just take out all your copy and stuff and templatize it, and just people help themselves, self-service, right? That's a sell coming in every day, right? That's a couple of sales coming in every day. It's really important. So tools, templates, then your trainings that you do in the webinars, and then your challenge launches. And there's so many different ways to launch, but I've just given you 4 steps to consistency with those kind of launches. In every launch, there's a nuance, because people say, I'm going to do a high ticket application funnel. That's a different kind of launch, right? Am I going to do an automated evergreen funnel? That's a webinar funnel. That's a different kind of launch, right? Am I going to do a fire sale? Different kind of launch. Is it going to be a 3-day challenge or a 5-day challenge? Different kind of launch. So many nuances on the challenge. One size doesn't fit all. But make sure that you're plugging your business for consistency. That's what today is about. So you're going to be seeing me posting these cryptic equations for find your launch formula. And that's what I want you guys to do, right? Find a formula that works for a different phase or a different level in your business. If you find a challenge launch is too stressful right now, find a formula to have some evergreen sales coming in, right? It might not be enough to sustain your business, but it is a nice layer to give you some consistency in sales, right? If you find that, there's different communities that you'd like to JV with, you're going to need a webinar launch, right? Email launch in that way doesn't work as much. Do a webinar launch or a masterclass launch. Have that asset. What I'm really saying is build assets in your business, guys. Build assets in your business so you're not working too hard for your money, because some people have left corporate jobs or left 9-to-5s to actually work harder in entrepreneurship than they did in the 9-to-5. And it's fine to work hard for a certain period of time, but not forever. Okay. Hey, Daphne, there's my girl, Daphne. So, guys, it's been fun hanging out with you. But take that consistency, right? You've got to layer things. So it doesn't mean you have to have lots of different offers, but it means you can sell them at different times in different ways, right? Or you can have different offers. I'm not somebody that feels that anymore. I used to be one signature offer. Well, you can have one signature offer, but you can have other things surrounding it to make an ecosystem, right? So that's an offer suite. That's fine. Okay. But yeah, those are keys for consistency. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I like 100 how-tos, right? 100 how-tos shows me there's room, right, to create an amazing offer or product out of this kind of training, because if you don't have any how-tos, I've given you the kitchen sink. You don't need it anymore. You can go off and do stuff. If you have how-tos, that means there's room. So give me your how-tos, right? The how-tos are all the questions that come up, because there's probably going to be gaps in what I've told you, and you've got a lot of questions, which is healthy. That's good. A lot of people can see the questions and get ideas for themselves as well, right? Of what you thought people knew, but they don't know because they're asking, right? And that's where you see room to create great solutions. All right, guys, have an amazing Thursday, and I will talk to you soon.